Welcome to Comics Relics. I'm Ray Mescalado, and today, September 1st, is the 98th birthday of Gene Colan. So to celebrate, I'm going to look at two comics I picked up yesterday in the dollar bin when I went to pick up my new monthly comic. That's Night Force number 1 and Night Force number 2 by Gene Colan and Marv Wolfman, the team that gave us Tomb of Dracula. And, oh, look at this. What a wonderful action shot to begin with. I grew up more in the 80s than the 70s. So for me, Gene Colan was a DC guy, not a Marvel guy. So I didn't have Tomb of Dracula or Iron Man or Daredevil to know him by. I knew him from his work on Batman, Nathaniel Dusk, and best of all, Night Force. Look at that. Georgetown is in trouble. Night Force was reuniting the team of Wolfman and Colan to do another horror series that would be as successful as Tomb of Dracula, one of the finest Marvel series from the 1970s. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out that way. The series only ran for 14 issues. There were revivals by Wolfman without Colan, and it just wasn't the same. The art here is absolutely fantastic, of course. The characterization, that sense of drama that Colan is so good at. Even here on this last page of number 1, Baron Winters just dramatically looking at a dandelion. This is the Gene Colan I think of when I think of Gene Colan. The second issue has some personal significance to me, as I didn't own that issue growing up. I was able to get all 14 issues of Night Force as it came out, but I somehow missed number 2. I couldn't find it as it came out, I couldn't find back issues, and then I just kept reading along with 3 onwards and filled in the blanks in my head and never bothered to actually read that issue until it finally came out in hardcover, and I realized all this time there was this gap where I knew what happened, but I didn't actually see it. And oh God, look at that wonderful 2-page spread. Look at the way that everyone's portrayed on the top. Colan was a talent like no other. He could do facial expressions, he could do mood, he did action shots, and he could really capture the supernatural macabre in a way that no one else could. Look at that. Georgetown really did suffer in these first 2 issues. Bob Smith does such a great job on inking Colan. Later on in the 1980s, they would do Colan without an ink, just pencils to capture the nuances, but a really good inker worked just as well for him. Look at that facial reaction over there in the lower left. Just the whole sense of mood. If you're going to define Colan as an artist, mood is probably the best word. He can capture shadows. He can make you feel things that a clear line would not. He really brought you into his world. And Night Force was a great vehicle for that, short as it was. He captured the dramatic tension between these characters wonderfully. He created the monsters that made it work so well. And here, during this scientific seance, when things go completely off the rails, Colan really makes you feel both the supernatural power at work and the sense of loss. And again, we have this wonderful closing page here, which sets the way for the rest of the story. The story is actually 7.5 issues, about half of the run of what Night Force would be, and it's like an epic spy thriller, supernatural adventure with these 3 characters that you see before you. And I would highly recommend picking up those issues. You could probably get it for cheap. I did. Or the hardcover edition that collects all 14 issues. Certainly the 2.5-page story that followed it, which basically involved a Shuggoth terrorizing an apartment building, is also excellent. The last arc, it's alright. But it's all worth reading. It's all worth looking at, because this is, I think, peak DC Colan. I'd put it up there with his work on Batman, certainly. Even better than Nathaniel Dusk, I'd say. So in conclusion, happy birthday to Gene Colan. Your work will be remembered for a long time. And for me at least, Night Force will be forever in my fanboy heart. So I'm Ray Mescalado. This is Comics Relics. Have a good day. Celebrate Gene Colan. Goodbye.